This is the story of Altis in 1974. The communist takeover, the resulting naval battles between NATO and Warsaw Pact forces, and its eventual recapture by the British. The islands that would become the Republic of Altis and Stratis have known conflict from the early 20th century until modern times. Historians of Altis and Stratis tend to focus on events on land. But locals know they live on islands. They are surrounded and their lives are dominated by thalassa, the sea. And they know that control of the islands inevitably falls to those who exercise thalassocratia, sea power. Miller leaves Kavala with vital information, only to be given new orders. It has been a long day, and a lot has happened. Miller and his troop sergeant witnessed an unprovoked shooting of British nationals at the port of Kavala by a Soviet officer. This vital information must be relayed at once through official channels. Miller's local contacts in Kavala have also informed him of rumours that Soviet warships entered Pyrgos Gulf earlier that day. And his local contacts relayed a message from the team at Faranaki. Meet at Marzi. That was the extent of the message. A quick check of Miller's map confirms that Marzi is a small bay on the southeast tip of Altis. Miller is at Fornos Bay in southwest Altis. The primary safe house at Faranaki at the mouth of Pyrgos Gulf. Marzi is near their alternate safe house location at Selikano. Miller is suddenly worried. Why are the team at the alternate? What went wrong? Are they okay? Back in the police launch, and time to get to Marzi. Quick as we please. Lights on again. As much as he does not want to be detected, Miller also does not want to be shot in the dark by a trigger-happy Soviet warship patrolling the entrance to Pyrgos Gulf. The lights will make them think it is a local police launch. Which it was. The police launch speeds away from Fornos Bay. Miller has a sudden shock as the police launch is illuminated by a searchlight. But it is just the Cape Makronos lighthouse. Keeping sailors off the rocks near Naftia Bay. Finally, Miller arrives at Marzi Bay. Ahead, the breakwater. Behind it, the wharf. He is careful not to over-rev the engine on the approach. Anything to avoid attention. With Pyrgos Gulf safely astern, he has even turned the beacons off. He beaches the police launch. They both get out. They are not sure what to expect. But the team are waiting. Two of them, anyway. And the car.
Copy that.
They all pile in.
Ready. Ready.
Lights on.
Ready.
Lots of news, boss, says one. Same here, says Miller. We're heading to Selicano. I will point out the place, the young Marine says. Don't worry, Miller replies. I've been there before. On the drive to Selicano, Miller informs his team members of the latest from Kavala. In return, they fill him in on the latest from Faranaki. From the safety of the upstairs window of the safe house at Faranaki, the team had tracked 2 Soviet warships entering Pyrgos Gulf earlier that day. One was a landing ship, but they couldn't quite make out the cargo. Two of them jumped into the car to drive to Pyrgos for a better look. Sure enough, a landing ship, Dr. Pyrgos. About a kilometre out of Pyrgos, time for a quick recce. On the outskirts of town, a KKAS roadblock, and the beginnings of what looks like a Soviet security operation around the town. Showing the initiative for which they are famous, in the absence of orders, they decide Faranaki is too exposed to continue as a safe house. They return, pack their kit, back in the car, and off to the alternate location at Selicano. Along the way, they station an OP, or observation post, on Mount Didymos to keep watch on the entrance to the Gulf. The team has rations and water for 3 days. And the road leads directly to Selicano. On to Selicano and the new safe house. The team tell Miller they had set up the radio in time for the sked, and were given a new time for an emergency sked. Tonight. Stand by for orders, they were told. Miller pulls up to a familiar place. Waiting outside is a familiar friend. Miller parks the car in the garage. The building has seen better days. Miller greets his local contact in Selicano.
Waiting. Ready. Waiting.
Good to see you, old friend, he whispers. And you, the man replies. Last time they had met face to face, they were both young men, shooting rabbits in the hills of southeast Altis. This used to be the man's mother's house. I must leave now. We will talk tomorrow, the man says, leaving through the back door. Many a time they had skinned and cooked rabbits together in this very kitchen. Miller looks around. Happy memories flooding back. Simpler times. Upstairs clear, boss. Miller climbs the stairs. Irrationally, he already feels as safe as his younger self. Sleeping bags. Stores. Radio. And a map. This will do nicely. Quite the safe house. Sure enough, at the new scheduled time, fresh orders. In code.
02588.
A numbers station.
02588.
Switching frequencies, Miller taps out his report in Morse. He will send a similar report back to Group 14 on a different frequency and with more detail. Miller then sets about decoding the message from HQ. Once he is done and has read it, he burns the paper on which he has written the message and its decrypt, stubbing the paper out and grinding it into dust on the floor. But it is a simple message to remember. RFI, or Request for Information. What cargo did Soviet ships in Pyrgos Gulf discharge? Miller curses. Surely London had been tracking the ships for days. Why wait until now to ask? If the request had come a day or so ago, he could have put an OP in Pyrgos before the local security operation made it impossible to enter. He examines his map. There is the RV at Marzi and the alternate safe house at Salicano. Either the cargo will stay in Pyrgos, unlikely, he thinks, or the Soviets would move it, more likely. If they move it, they could use the road to Odorida, but that only leads southeast, which makes little sense. Or they could use the road north. If he observes that road, he might get a look at the cargo, from a distance at least. Perhaps count the trucks, and find out where they are heading. From the road north, the Soviets could move the cargo northeast to Paros and eastern Altis, or northwest to Arthura, the airport, and western Altis. But how to know where the cargo was bound? Miller's eyes are drawn to the fork in the road. One way leads west to Anthrakia and beyond. The other, northeast to Charkia and beyond. Perfect, he thinks. Just the place for an OP. He has a plan. Back downstairs, he grabs Sergeant James and leaves the rest of the team at Salicano. Jumps back in the car.
Solid copy. Ready.
And heads north, racing through the night to beat the dawn. In the pre-dawn light, they leave the car concealed behind a cottage. And move up to the OP on foot. The moon is still low in the sky. All around is quiet. The abandoned building will provide them concealment. And they can get a good look at any trucks that pass by. That looks like the mast of a warship. OP established, Miller goes over the plan. The Reds are based in Pyrgos. Headquarters has tasked us to detect what is in the cargo they have likely offloaded overnight. They are unlikely to move it east to Dorida. What's the point? More likely north. But then west to Anthrakia and beyond? Or northeast to Charkia and beyond? So let's haul up here and see what direction they go. And maybe get a look at the cargo. Nearly dawn and the OP is set. Engine noises in the distance. Miller looks over and smiles at James. Get a look at those trucks, then back to Selocano and a hot breakfast, eh? Not so fast, boss, Sergeant James responds, looking at the ground with a grim look on his face. Miller looks down. In the dim light he sees dust particles on the ground, jumping up and down, like they are dancing. Much like the bubbles in the gin tonic he wishes he was drinking right about now. Is he imagining this? He rubs his eyes and blinks, confused. Then he feels it. The low rumble. The ground vibrates, then shakes. He shifts position uncomfortably. Then he hears it. Engine noises. Those aren't trucks. Tanks. Finally, he sees it. Viscerally terrified, his body and face presses close to the ground as he dares. Four T-62 tanks pass his OP. Tanks head northwest. No doubt about it. Miller's hands are shaking from the adrenaline dump. His troop sergeant looks over at him. As long as he lives, James will never tell the captain how pale and drawn his face looks in that moment. Or how wide his eyes. In the next episode, a complaint by NATO triggers a fact-finding mission to Altis by Warsaw Pact diplomats. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. And stay tuned for the next episode.